Whoa! Where was that? Where are you? I'm coming for you, bro. Let's see. Be the right side? There you are. Holo! Wait. Wow, I didn't actually think that would work, going through his upper plate. No! My friend! I'll save you! Look at me, man. Look at me! Come on, I'll save you. Oh! Oh! I could have saved him. Darn it. Alright, let's advance now. Oh! Really? You were on the left side? Don't worry. I got this. STRV. On its way. Aw, man. Let's try that again. That should do it. There we go. Very nice. What is that? Oh, a tortoise. What sounds do tortoises make anyway? Last one. Will it? Oh my gosh. This thing is a beast! Well, that and the IS-6. But still, 2 tanks destroyed with 1 bomb? You can't get better than that. Dniu Победы! Happy Victory Day, folks. Sauber here. Welcome back to the channel. That is right, you are staring at the beast, the IS-6. Perhaps the best Soviet heavy tank of mid-ish top tier. What I mean by that is it's 7.3. It used to be the best top tier back when like 8.0 was the highest BR, and it is an awesome tank. 150 millimeters of armor on the turret, pretty much all over. Crew of 4, your good old dish machine gun on the roof, and decent armor all over. 120 on the side, 100 on the front, 60 at the back. And it's angled at like 45 degrees. It's insane. But its real mainstay is its gun. It's 122 millimeter D30T cannon, which doesn't really look that different than the gun mounted on the IS-2. But it also has its classic nuke APHE round. The thing is like a nuclear dumpster if it goes through its ears. And you'll see soon enough. But you're probably wondering, why do I have the IS-6? Well, as you probably know, during the Victory Day sales for early May, a lot of the vehicles go on sale, particularly the Allied units. But to deviate quickly, watch this APHE shell make this Leo go kaboom. APHE is such a beast. I mean, one time I was playing with Engine, and he was in his T10M, and this was back in like 1.71 when top tier tanks were just introduced. I forgot what I was driving, but he had his T10M with the default APCBC round with the HE filler. It was able to pen the lower plate of the T64A, which obviously wasn't that big of a surprise, but what the clear surprise was, it made the whole thing go kaboom. And he did that twice, too. Kind of wished I would have had a replay of that, but even if I did have it, the replay would have been too old. But anyway, going back to the IS-6 and the tanks going on sale. The IS-6 is normally $40 US. And to me, that is really steep price. I mean, I have a decent amount of money, but I don't like to spend too much of it all in one place, especially for only just one vehicle. So, they had a little bundle called Allied Armor Bundle. And that included 4 vehicles. The American T-29, the French AMX-13 SS-11, the British, Swede, I'm sorry, that's such a play on words. The British/Swede STRV, which is basically a Centurion Mark III with 3 ATGMs, the same kind used on the Rakuten Jagdpanzer SS-11 and the AMX-13 SS-11. So I had 2 vehicles out of the 4 in the pack, being the T-29 and the AMX-13 SS-11. So that meant I only had to get the IS-6 and the STRV at half price. So 2 tanks for the price of 1. An excellent deal. And I love both of these vehicles. The STRV has an awesome APCBC round, not as explosive as the IS-6's APHE round, but it can get the job done. Focusing on the IS-6, it is perhaps one of the most maneuverable heavy tanks I've ever played. And generally, I don't like playing heavy tanks that much in RB. Reason being, number 1 is that they're super duper expensive in SP, to the point where if you die too early in the game, and what I mean by that is, let's say you're in your heavy tank and you don't capture a point, even if you destroy 1 tank, maybe 2, because sometimes heavy tanks cost anywhere between 310 to the maximum allowable 450 SP. Yeah, pretty expensive. So like, if you are taken out with 1 or maybe 2 tanks destroyed respectively, even if you have an SPAA, it's straight, or excuse me, not the SPAA, you'll be straight back to the hangar. And that's pretty much what has discouraged me from taking most other heavy tanks such as the Tiger 1 or the M6A1 into RB. But the IS-6 is a completely different animal. It's a heavy tank that thinks it's a medium tank. And what do I mean by that? Well, look how fast I'm moving. If I did this in even in the Tiger 2, it would take me twice as long to get up to this speed. The IS-6 can move like 20 miles an hour off-road, sometimes 25, and on a road, it can go up to 30 miles an hour. This is a fast and maneuverable heavy tank, and get this, it has an excellent reverse gear that can reverse up to 10 miles per hour. Much faster than that of the T-54, T-34, or especially, the T-64. I mean, they had it right with the IS tank series. Like, even the IS-2 can reverse to like, what? If I recall correctly, 17 miles an hour? It has a super fast reverse gear. Of course, it has 2 reverse gears, not 1. And this one only has 1. So why couldn't they do that with later generation Soviet MBTs? I mean, the Abrams and Leopards having super duper good reverse gears. Like, you can like pop out of cover to take a shot and then quickly back into cover. Or if the situation deteriorates, you can pop smoke, if it's available, and then reverse at like 20, 30 miles an hour. Nice and fast. But anyway, going back to the IS-6, let's talk a little bit about its history. Interestingly enough, I couldn't find a lot of information about it. So I was able to find it from the War Thunder wiki. So that was convenient. And I apologize if I pronounce these names wrong. I try my best to pronounce them as best as possible, but sometimes the words are just a little tricky. History of creation and combat usage. The Chelyabinsk-Kirov plant work or plant works. I don't know. Oh, that's much better. CHKZ, I'm just gonna say that, began planning a draft of a new heavy tank with an electro transmission on May 2nd, 1944. A drive system seen on the German Ferdinand, or also affectionately known as the Elephant. The plant was officially ordered to begin work on the 8th of June for 2 versions of the heavy tank, with emphasis of having significant advantages over the current IS-2 heavy tank. The heavy tank was designated the IS-6, and 2 versions were the Objekt 252 with a mechanical transmission, and the Objekt 253 with an electric transmission. Both prototypes were produced in the fall of 1944 and were sent to be tested at the NIIBT testing grounds at Kubinka? Yeah, Kubinka. The two prototypes differed in ways than just the transmission. Objekt 252 used a mechanical transmission from the IS-3. Oh. With large road wheels with no track rollers for its Torsen bar suspension. Objekt 253, with its electric transmission, used a suspension that looked similar to the previous IS iterations with smaller road wheels and track rollers. So, kind of like imagine that on a T50, or not a T50, an IS-6. There I go again. A T-64. Oh my goodness. And a T-10. And this is ironic. The IS-6 prototypes failed to stay under the weight of the IS-2 being around 51.5 tons. The 122mm gun arming the IS-6 was the D-30 compared to the D-25T on its predecessors. The D-30 implements features the D-25's monoblock, the 100mm D-10T's breech and gas block, a 2-spring balancing mechanism, a lengthened D-25 mount, and a fume extractor. How advanced. The gun was installed into the IS-6 prototypes in December of 1944. The IS-6 prototypes were tested alongside the Objekt 701, the prototype for the IS-4M. Just to deviate real quick, this actually scared me. Following an IS-6, and then he just goes boom, and I'm like, crap, where was that guy? And I see the T-32, and I was like, oh, hi. Just aim for the lower plate. Oh, that was so funny. Anyway, back to our regularly scheduled program. The IS-6, 2 prototypes, proved disappointing. A stark contrast compared to the world of War Thunder. With the Objekt 253 electric transmission being too complex, expensive, and unreliable. Oh man, in War Thunder we don't have reliability problems. The Objekt 252 mechanical transmission also differed from reliability issues. Suspension problems also impacted the IS-6. Really? Huh. With its speed dropping below the heavier Objekt 701. It was hoped that the electric transmission would help make the tank more maneuverable, but the heavyweight prohibited any vast improvements. Overall, the IS-6 was deemed not to provide any improvements over existing designs. Oh, come on! Having only comparable armor. Comparable? Oh my goodness, it had better armor! And mobility to the IS-2 and IS-3. In 1945, all work on the IS-6 ceased, as work continued on the Objekt 701, which, again, the IS-4 ended up being a disappointment, with only 250 builds. But that's a story for another gameplay. So, back to the battle. It's funny, I don't really get a lot of battles like this, where you're with a couple teammates, sitting on a cap point, there's no planes, no well, except for the occasional one, no artillery, and then M103 shows up, just a lone M103 against 3 tanks. So he takes a shot at the IS-6 beside me. He gets set on fire. I'm like, okay, it's time to make a move. I gotta be fast. I drive up beside him, and he goes boom. It was so awesome. And I was thinking, man. And I was like, feels good, man, because those things are hard to destroy. And then I was like, ah, ah. Another M103 shows up. And I was like, okay, it's time to be sneaky breaky now. So I'm like reversing, kind of in a panic, because he can pen me easy. He can pen the lower plate, and he can pen the turret at the front. Well, any part of the turret, basically, but in particular, the front. So the IS-6 is repairing in front of me. I see a plane. I'm thinking, please don't be a bomber. Later find out it's just a ground pounder. So I'm hiding behind the house, expecting him to come towards us from the right side of the building. And then I looked through my binoculars and I was like, oh, I see the 50 cal, reverse! It was funny, kind of like on Jaws, where you don't see the shark, but you see the fin. Or in this case, you see the M2HB 50 cal, but not the tank itself. So I'm like hiding behind here, and at this point I'm like, I might as well just wait, because I only got one shot at this and a 17-second reload, and if he gets aim at me, I'm dead. So I'm just waiting patiently, and I am surprised he did not see me. I mean, of course I was hiding behind a building, but he was actually kind of playing smart if I wasn't there, because he stops and he waits, takes a shot at the IS-6, and then I take a shot at him. I destroy him the same way, in the same fashion that I did the first M103. But yeah, as tough as the IS-6 is, M103s can deal nicely with the IS-6 given the allowable circumstance. Like, he could have got our IS-6 if he didn't have the crew replenishment. Or, let me rephrase that, if he wasn't in a cap point, because the way it works with the crew replenishment in arcade, if you're dropped down to one crew member, you start replenishing immediately. In RP, if you're not in a cap point and you lose all but one crew member, you're done. You're dead. But as a bonus, if you're on a cap point that your team owns, and you get down to one crew and you have the replenishment option available, you get a crew replacement. So that's nice. So he was able to survive, and I was able to take out 3 heavy tanks. The T-32 and 2 M103s. So yeah, this battle ended up being a GG. So if you're in the market for War Thunder merchandise, get it while you can, as the Victory Day bonus sales will end on May 10. And if you're interested in getting the IS-6 and its Mega Bundle Pack, I definitely say go for it. And if you want the STRV, which I'll make a future video about, I suggest you get that too. They are both awesome tanks. So that is pretty much it for this video. I hope you have enjoyed. I will try to make some more in the very near future. A good number of the videos themselves are ready. I just gotta narrate them. So be sure to stay tuned for those. I hope you have enjoyed, and until next time, have a great day. Peace out.